Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome to this week's program presented by Singing River Services. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've had so very many important guests and a wide range of topics. And of course, the goal of this program is to keep you abreast of what's happening not only at Singing River Services, but what's happening with other programs that help connect the dots across our catchment area, our viewing area. And today is probably one of those most important times and one of the most important guests, Francis Allsup, who is the executive director for CASA here in Jackson County. And have been doing that for over 8 years collectively, huh?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to have you. For our viewing audience, tell us the acronym CASA. I mean, people hear that, but somebody may not necessarily know what that is. What is CASA?
CASA is acronym for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. It's a program that we train and recruit everyday citizens to be a voice for the child of abuse and neglect.
Okay. And you're the executive director.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what does that allow? What do you do? I see in some of your in your CV here that you're on a state board for CASA. So you travel a little bit around the state.
A little bit. Try to help promote new programs throughout the state as well. Help the state director out some.
Okay. Court-appointed special advocate. And this is comprised up of volunteers.
Right.
You get volunteers in. Who is a volunteer? How do you become a volunteer? First of all, how many CASA volunteers do you have, and then how many children are you involved with in Jackson County?
Sure. Currently we have 71 volunteers. We're advocating for 91 children. They have probably put in over 6,000 hours just since January. Very dedicated, open-minded, open-hearted, everyday citizens that just want to make a difference in the life of a child.
And when you make a difference, there may be someone who is interested in doing that, probably some viewers who have done that, but someone that might be interested. How do you become a volunteer, and what is involved?
Okay, you have to be 21 years of age, successfully pass a background check as well as a child abuse registry. To come to CASA, we will train you. We will give you 30 hours of intense training that shows you how to be a voice for a child of abuse and neglect. The difference that you can make is not only through your recommendations through the court, but you're the constant in the child's life. So many times we get involved in these cases and they go on a long time, and we are there for them, for the children, and they know us. We're a belief system.
Yeah, and so court appointed, obviously, this all happens through the youth court system?
Yes, exclusively through the youth court system, yes.
Okay, and these, that means at some point, I'm assuming down the line, that there's been some legal malady or some transgression there or something. So you're talking about cases with children involving abuse or criminal activity, or all of the above? Right,
all of the above. But we only handle the cases through the youth court system.
Okay.
We are an advocate for the child, and sometimes when it does go on into criminal court and the child has to testify, the advocate will go and just to be a support so that child can look out in the audience and see a familiar face. Okay. Helps soothe, comfort. It's a comfort. But the recommendations that we bring back to the judge after our investigation, it really helps the case. It really paints the picture in a true color.
In order to make an intelligent decision, you got to have as much vital information as you can have.
You do.
A volunteer, first of all, I guess the ages that you deal with I think technically you're an adult somewhere around 17 and 11 months here in the state of Mississippi. So you,
Right.
you see children of all.
We do, from 0 to ever how long they stay in the system.
Yeah, you had said earlier.
Up to 22, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think the oldest child we're advocating for right now is 19.
Okay. It's interesting, we were talking earlier, and you said that even out of the hospital, you know, sometimes because
Right.
of issues, I'm assuming that
Yes.
that's interesting. So that has to do with the support system or lack thereof,
Right.
and someone's getting involved.
Right.
On a typical day, a volunteer is going to do what? I'm curious. I mean, how is there a required amount of contact? I guess it varies depending upon the age of the individual. But
It does. And the extremity of the case.
okay.
You know, it depends on the circumstances. We do ask the volunteers to at least make one contact per month, you know, eye to eye.
Right.
Not just necessarily phone call. The volunteers, I mean, once they receive their case, they study their case file, and they kind of get to know what has transpired since the beginning of the case. And then they begin to start making their connections to the family and their outreach to, you know, police officers, our school teachers, our daycare workers, our medically. They make their own investigation.
Okay, that was my next question. Is so and then they formulate, and then they'll make a presentation to the
Yes.
court
Yes.
at a certain point in time. So if it's coming through the youth court, then I'm assuming that there are always that there's going to be a court date at some particular point in time
Oh, yes.
for all of those. It sounds like, you know, in our business at Singing River Services, of course, we deal with a lot of different therapies, but differentiate for me, if you will, the difference between it's not a social worker and a CASA worker.
The CASA worker is more of a common, everyday person who's been trained how to form a relationship and a bonding with this child that they begin to trust. It's a trust. You know, they go and they sit down and they play checkers, or they take a walk. It's a time that allows the child to get to know them, to trust them, so that as they move forward through this journey, through the court, they have someone that they can look up to and trust.
Okay. Probably the most important part. You know, someone connecting
Right.
and mentoring, if you will, or just being there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So-
It's amazing what you see. It's, you know, and the fight that's in these volunteers. I mean, they are the front line. They're the backbone, and you know, they get attached, and we help them with that attachment as the case draws near to the end. But it's good.
I was wondering about that. I was going to talk about you know, it sounds like it's kind of a family atmosphere. You have folks that are involved volunteering in the community because they want to, which is kind of refreshing these days. Of course, there's always need for more, but for someone to do that without any selfish motives, but to help someone and help stabilize and connect. And it can be overdone, but it certainly can be underestimated too. But how important it is just to say, how you doing today? And someone to check up with somebody, touch base with them, because I know this person cares. And they're doing this not for remuneration of any type.
Right.
They're getting paid.
It really
not
makes
being
a
paid.
difference to the children. The outward emotions that come into this it's astonishing, and just it's a blessing.
Let me digress here then a minute and say, how did you get involved?
It's a calling.
Okay.
This is more like mission work for me.
Okay.
You know, growing up, I went to my parents and talked to them about mission work, and I can remember my dad very vividly saying, you know, before you go off scampering around the world, to look out your back door, that it might be sitting right there on your back doorstep. And that need may be that great. So it's mission work for me.
Good.
It's a calling.
Much needed, obviously.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. So if someone is interested, and we'll do this in the second half of the program too, you tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, you can reach us at the Youth Court at 228-762-7370, or you can sign on to our website at jccasa.net.
How, before the break here, how, on average, you've advocated for you have 71 workers, you've advocated for 91 individuals so far this year.
Right.
6,000 hours. How many will a volunteer have to his caseload, for lack of a better word?
We try to do no more than 2 cases per volunteer.
Okay.
National CASA, as we're part of them as well, they really recommend only 2 cases, because the importance of the volunteer making time for those 2 particular cases, some of those cases may have 3 or 4 children. You know, we want to make sure that they don't get overburdened.
Burnout.
Yes.
Yeah. You have volunteers that have been doing this, I guess, for long periods of time?
We have.
And
long periods of time.
Yeah, and I have known some of your workers, and the folks that I have seen and know in that realm are great individuals who care about their community and things along those lines. And there's a lot of things, I guess, that bring, you see a lot of different emotional distresses that happen, and because I know that we deal with children also, of course, and sometimes we interact, and we have CASA workers, you know, of course, that are part of that process. My guest today is Frances Allsup. She is the executive director for the CASA Jackson County, and has doing a great job, great work, making a difference in a lot of people's lives through the volunteers and the individuals that she works with. Let me remind you of the number that you see there on the screen. That number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are interested in one of the 40 different programs that are offered at Singing River Services, we'll be glad to get you that information, put that information in your hand. If you would like to hear more about some programs that we've had on in the past, if you would like more information, or if you'd like to have us involved in some input about what we could talk about in the future, that will help you. I know last week we were talking about the changes that are coming, and we're going to intermittently talk about that all throughout this fall that are happening in service delivery here in Jackson County. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome back to the second half of today's program presented by Singing River Services. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, the reason we bring this program, a program about mental health, I think is important in our community to talk about various and sundry things that are happening on the local level, and of course the imminent changes that are coming as we have talked about on previous programs, and that is basically in the service delivery of particular programs. The U.S. Department of Justice has been in the state of Mississippi and did not give it a good grade as far as the history of mental health services. More emphasis that said was placed on conventional institutional services versus local community outlets. And so that's a big ship to change around, and we're working to do that, and we're going to talk more about those changes that already are here and that are going to impact a lot of people's lives, some for the better, some maybe not, and we're going to talk about those programs and those programs that are going to be changing. And I'm going to bring some of our personnel on over the next few weeks and talk about how things have been operating and the changes that can be expected. My guest, Francis Allsup, the Executive Director for CASA in Jackson County. And in our business, Francis, when you talk about mental health, 1 in 5 individuals in any 12-month period is going to experience some kind of mental health issue. And the thing about our business, nobody really thinks about it until something goes awry with a family member, and then it won't help, and then they want it pretty quick at that time. And not unlike your business and the things that you, as the Executive Director for CASA here in Jackson County, I know that there are some scary stories, and you seem to, your organization and the people that I've known seem to confront that with stability, with altruism, with care about individuals that we serve. During the break, tell me, CASA here in Jackson County was the first state of Mississippi? We were
established back in 1985 when Judge Emily Baker was on the bench. She had heard about National CASA Association forming in D.C. and Seattle, Washington, excuse me. And she thought it was such a great program that she wrote a grant, and we received the grant, and it got started at that point.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've been around since 1985.
Okay. Tell CASA worker, foster, parenting, 2 different deals.
Yes.
How do you define what a foster parent is and how they work within your program or with your program?
Okay. A foster parent actually takes care of the children. The children live in their home. Our CASA volunteers and advocates are that. They are an advocate. They don't take them home with them. They are a voice for them in the courtroom. We interact with the foster parent because we're part of the eyes and the ears of the court. And so we're reporting back to the court what we see.
Okay. And so they work closely with the foster parents, and I guess the foster parents contact the CASA worker in the event there may be some particular need happening and those kinds of things. I guess you could get someone, if you probably have a need in Jackson County for more foster parents as well.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
We have more than 350 children in foster care. Of course, that averages out daily.
Right.
It increases and decreases, but we could use more foster parents, no doubt. Our CASA volunteers, they're all over the place. I mean, we have children in Brandon and Natchez, and they're everywhere.
Oh, okay.
They're everywhere, and our volunteers
not
try
just
to,
here
no,
in Jackson
there's
County.
just not enough foster parents.
Okay. Wow. So there is some travel.
Oh, there's quite a bit of travel, and some of our volunteers can, and some can't.
Right. And when you talk about volunteer, that says a lot. I know that, like parts of our program, I know CASA is a recipient of United Way funding, and we certainly appreciate it.
Oh my goodness, we couldn't do it without United Way. We've been an agency with United Way since 1999.
Okay, yeah.
They have fully supported us since then.
It is a great group of folks there, and Jackson County just does some of the greatest giving.
They do.
Comparatively, even with larger areas and cities, and we certainly appreciate United Way and the work that they do there. Now, you've got some new programs going on?
We do. Department of Human Services came and asked us about helping them with a pilot program through the permanency for these children who are freed for adoption, and they're not being moved quickly enough to try to find adoptive homes for them. So they asked us to kind of help out with that, and through we're a recipient of a grant through the Gulf Coast Community Foundation allowed us to hire a permanency coordinator to help with this pilot program to see, you know, if we can find some children some homes and you know, investigate and report back to the judge and see what we can do for these kids. They need to be able to call home.
Right, right. Do when you talk about foster parents, do foster parents get involved in that? Sometimes the adoption process, or?
Possibly, yes. Sometimes they do. You know, we have adoptive foster homes that we try to place children who are the parental rights have been terminated. We do try to place those children in adoptive foster homes, so that potentially we already have, you know, it in motion.
Okay, so the connection is there.
Right.
And here again, the cross section of ages, it just runs the gamut.
It does.
The whole course.
It does. It does.
And I can see, so the goal then, the connection is to now the permanency thing. If you're dealing with fosters, you're dealing with your program CASA, and in connection with that, the adoption process for, I guess there's probably more people that are adopted, less at older ages and more at younger ages.
True. That's true.
In order to bring some.
With our assistance in this, hopefully those won't be falling through the cracks. You know, we can keep a better eye on them to kind of help the situation through the action plans and through Department of Human Services.
And when you say action plans, that it means?
Basically, you know, we try to map out the child's life. You know, where do we want to be 3 months from now if he's still in just a regular foster home, he or she? You know, we want to try to diligently search for relatives who might be willing to adopt, to try to keep that child within the family if possible. If not, try to find adoptive foster homes that will take the child.
Okay. If you, our audience here, our lookers on, if you had something to say to them in regards to the process of rewards for assisting individuals, and what would you say to them? I guess a lot of people, and you've already touched on this, don't get involved because of the emotional attachment. You get attached to a situation, and then it's hard to break free. When you talk about the kinds of individuals that would be involved in this kind of casework.
When you see the rewards at the end of the journey through the court, you see the reuniting with family, you see how far the mother or the father has come and gone through the system. It's rewarding in itself. These kids need you as an extra voice. They need that consistency and stability in their lives. And as we try to work with the parents, we don't enable the parents, but as we try to work with them, and if they're receptive to us, then it's a win-win situation.
Good. So a lot of times they're in the custody of the court, and the court has the stewardship of that child. And then, would you say most parents, a percentage, 50% of parents, 25% of parents, work within the court system? I'm assuming they want their children back, or do some of them say, you know, because of various substance abuse or issues, financial and those kinds of things? I guess it'd be hard to guesstimate that, huh?
It is. It's based on each individual case.
Yeah.
You know, we see a fluctuation of those that really want to work, but then you go through a period that no one wants to work.
That's pretty sad when you're dealing with
It is.
It's
hard.
Hard and difficult.
Yeah.
But if it was easy, everybody would be lined up doing it.
That's true. That's
but
true.
It's a great, certainly a great program.
Thank you.
Give us again how Francis, how someone, if they were interested or could get in touch with you about the volunteer program and learn more about CASA.
Sure. You can contact me at the youth court at 228-762-7370, or you can plug into our website at jccasa.net.
So if you are interested in being involved in this program, it is a great program. And y'all are located there and getting ready to move out.
That's right.
Into your own facility.
That's right. Never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, right there at the youth court, and so when a child, here again in these closing moments again, how often can you hear again a percentage of reconciliation? Is it more happens or it less happens? Would you just off the top of your head?
I'm going to say more.
Okay.
Just because maybe it's not reconciliation with the parents, but maybe with a relative.
Okay.
And I consider that a reconciliation.
Absolutely.
In a positive way.
Absolutely. My guest today is Frances Allsup, the Executive Director for CASA Jackson County, involved very much with some great people here in Jackson County. And if you would like more information, you can contact her at the number that she gave, the location, the number you see on your screen there. If you'd like more information about it, we can pass it along to Frances. If you will be interested in helping out with the CASA program, there's no better program that you could be involved in and in assisting. And also, let me remind you, that number is there available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's our main line number Monday through Friday, and it's our crisis line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning. You can contact us there.